B.B. King, 6 years old. Elsie Stancombe, 7 years old. Alice Aguirre, 9 years old. These are the names of the 3 girls that were tragically murdered and had their life cut short by a criminal, an evil,
insane
individual who I would class as a terrorist. And the fact that we live in a world where parents can send their children to an extracurricular activity like dancing and have to now worry and be scared that can they now send their children to these types of lessons, classes for fun, for enjoyment, for teaching, without worrying about will they see their child again.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Obviously, to the families of the 3 young girls, as with everybody, our condolences and our prayers are with the youth. We know that obviously the individual who has been arrested for said crimes has been will get the full force of the law and get exactly what he deserves.
And in my opinion, he deserves a lot worse.
Yeah,
for the atrocity that he carried out, and like he says, condolences to the family and our prayers.
This one hit me because it was a bit close to home. One of my best friends, it's not best friend, but one of my friends, very close friend, I'd consider a family friend. Her daughter goes to dancing lessons, and she's amazing at what she does. And it just hit home because I couldn't imagine a world where she would be caught up in that situation.
Yeah.
And it's not just about the families of the 3 girls. What about all the other kids that were in that lesson?
Yeah, the kids, the teacher, the trauma that they're going to be living for the rest of their lives.
This is it. And to see something like that as a child, and let's be honest, when you're a kid, I'm a father. When you're a kid and I see my kids, you don't think about scary things.
No.
You think about, these girls.
That's what you want to protect them from.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And they would have gone with such happiness to that dance class.
Yeah.
Because they see all their friends there, they love it, they have so much fun, and they get to dance, they get to spend time with the other kids and their friends, and they have a great time.
Yeah.
That is something that you look forward to when you come back from school or whatever it might be. We're going dance class.
Yeah. And then they come and they tell the parents, "Oh, this is what we did. We had such an amazing time. We were dancing." And it was a Taylor Swift thing as well, wasn't it? Taylor Swift themed dance party as well. And again, like he says, we live in a country where we think we are safe. We don't have issues on the streets that you see in other countries, other war-torn countries.
Yeah.
We think that this is a normal day-to-day thing that we can do, go about our daily lives. And just a thought, like you said, of sending your children to an extracurricular activity, and then imagine the terror going through their minds, hearing the news of something that's happened to the children, not knowing if your children are dead or alive.
Yeah,
it's not a society that we want to live in.
Yeah, like imagine that phone call that the parents receive.
Yeah.
That for the ones that lost the children, and for those injured, like an absolute traumatic experience. And not one that anyone should go through, no matter where you live in the world.
No one in the world.
Especially when it comes to children. And it's one of those where, especially when you're bringing it over to other conflicts, the main reason to stop wars, everyone always brings up is children. Children are losing their lives because every life is precious, but more so a child's life.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they are the
innocence in all of us.
Yeah, they are the future. The innocence, exactly what you're saying. Yeah. And like you said as well, Zed, in our country, we have that sense of security, and unfortunately, it's acts like this which kind of remind us that you never know what the next person is doing. You think you're safe, but how safe are you really?
And that's the thing as well. Now people are just terrified to send their kids to do anything. even still themselves going out because they just don't know what's going on. And as a result of what's happened, we've all seen what's been going on up and down the country with the rioting.
And you know, and I guess you know, this was also the catalyst, or the start off, I should say, rather than the catalyst. I think other people were the catalyst, but this was also where we started seeing the absolute impact that misinformation has up and down, and how it reverberates around every home in the country. When this happened, certain people, like your Katie Hopkins...
Before you get into that, can I just say, I don't know if you guys feel like this, but when this happened, the state that I'm in, and I don't know if you guys are like this as well, is the first question I ask is it Muslim?
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
That is the state of mind that I live in. That if anything like this happens, the first thing is like, oh, please don't say it's a Muslim. Please don't say it's a Muslim.
Or so-called Muslim, because they're not Muslim.
They don't care, but the media doesn't care whether it's a practicing Muslim or not, because everything that they do in terror is against the religion itself. But when it's anything to do like that, they will always go to the man's faith. Even though the faith may not have anything to do with it, but the faith always comes in, and it's always with the Muslims that it happens. And that's what my fear was. And when it comes down to that misinformation, when that started to go around, even I was like, oh, for God's sake, it is a frigging Muslim.
But this is
because social media saying it is.
Yeah, but look at who these key people that were saying it. You had people like Andrew Tate. He is a key figure in social media.
He didn't say it was a Muslim.
He didn't say
but he did say it was an immigrant.
Yeah,
he says
but we'll get on to it,
and he spoke about the country.
If we start off, actually, no, sorry, Zed. You're absolutely right. That was at the start of it.
Again, but he would have got that information from where?
From somewhere.
Somewhere. Social media.
So what was the start of this misinformation?
So the misinformation, what you got to remember is the tragic loss of life that happened on the Friday. And this is how quick the misinformation can spread. So the attack happens on the Friday, and then the vigil is being held on the Saturday. And it's on the Saturday where in Southport you had a group of people that came in with their hatred towards Muslims that hijacked the vigil and started attacking the mosque and started attacking the communities and doing all the damage everywhere around there. The rioting, the policing. And the sad thing is, those officers that were called to the response of that attack were the same officers that were having bricks thrown at them. Being having bottles thrown at them. Attacked by the public. Like within 24 hours, basically.
24 hours.
And then at this point, still, there's no name being released. Misinformation's being spread everywhere. It's definitely a Muslim. That's why they're not telling the name, because they don't want the public to go absolutely mental. Because once the government confirm, the police confirm, it's a Muslim, we're gonna go ape. These Muslims are gonna get it. Why aren't they doing it? And do you know the real reason why they weren't doing it? And Farage didn't help either, with him saying that, well, obviously there must have been something, which is why they're hiding it. Even Farage, who's a member of Parliament, doesn't even know the law.
And Katie Hopkins, Katie Hopkins, she came out. She came out with that stupid name, whatever it was, Ali, whatever, Shakatai.
And the other key person, Andrew Tate, who's got a huge, massive following of. And let's think about it: the people who are actually writing are the youth. And he has so much influence on the youth of this day. And he was spreading the same false information.
Exactly.
And then you got obviously you got the likes of Tommy Robinson, who's always going to spite loads of shite out. Right.
Well, he didn't help, of course.
And he was on holiday anyway.
He's on holiday
he was in Cyprus.
In Cyprus.
Like that. And he's tweeting all these things away. And this, like you're saying, the information just spread like wildfire. That this is the person. This is who it is. He's a Muslim. He's an illegal immigrant. He came in on a boat, which is a key thing.
Stop the boats.
And he just mindlessly, in the name of Islam, started murdering children. Which we find out later on isn't the case. It's a complete lie.
So why didn't they release the name straight away?
Because he was 17.
Because he was 17. He's a minor. And UK law is, if it's a minor...
Under the age of 18.
Under the age of 18.
Judge's approval.
It has to go to a high judge for any information to be released.
And to think of it like this, breaking down the law, the judges, they were pressed hard, and under their own conscience, they knew that they had to give the name out to really put an end to this misinformation.
To quell the misinformation.
Yeah, because they realised, hang on, the wrong people are being targeted here.
Yeah.
And so we have to give the name out. And that's why the judge made that court order and said...
Made the court order and said, this is the name, because he turned 18 on the following Wednesday.
Yeah. So he's almost 18 years old. That justifies it. But also at the same time...
We need to stop
all
this information going on. So
this
then leads into Sunday.
Yeah.
Which was probably like the worst
day
ever. And I swear to God, like the TikToks that I'd seen, it put fear into me.
Yeah.
I was watching this one, like Middlesbrough. It was absolutely horrific.
Yeah.
Absolutely horrific.
They had a checkpoint on the road and they were stopping people who were of an ethnic minority from driving through. And I think at one point they pulled out, stopped a car with I think about 3-4 guys in it, and they beat a few of them up, and then the others managed to get away. And they says that they were Muslims. Later turns out they were Eastern European. They were even Muslim. So they were just mindless thugs looting Greggs. Of all things, looting Greggs.
I want to bring it back to...
You're really making a stand when you're looting Greggs.
Innit?
Yeah. But I want to bring it back to this, and this I heard it on the LBC where the girl who witnesses as well, and was probably watching the same TikToker that I watched. So imagine you're on your street, and you're on TikTok, and you recognise that there's a massive crowd of people coming down your street, and this crowd of people are smashing cars.
Windows, cars, everything.
They're smashing cars. They're smashing windows. Now they happen to try and break into her house. They couldn't break into her house, and she was 16. I think she was this girl when she rang in and told the story. So they smashed her mum's car up outside, and you're watching that unfold on your phone, and you're like, "This is outside my house." The fear that you would be going through,
of course,
to the point where even I was like, I'm fearful stepping outside. Over this weekend, I didn't step 1 foot out in that weekend. Stayed at home because I was like, I don't know, I can't trust the other person across the street. Because the other person going to see is there's a brown skin. He's doesn't matter what his affiliation is. That is the reason why I can't get a job. That is the reason why I'm struggling in my day-to-day life.
And I just want to go back to that, in terms of, and just expand on that point, Armelius, because when you talk about, and I've seen this a lot, and I've seen some shitty videos, and I've seen some absolutely, like, to the point where all you can do is laugh. It's like that guy, and all of you at home have probably seen the video where this guy is like, look, I can't get a job. And it's like, well, it's because of all these immigrants. Well, and then he says something else, and it turns out, and he's like, I'm a criminal. I've got a criminal record. So
and it says, well, is that the reason why? Well, that's not the reason why I can't get a job. It's because these immigrants.
Yeah, exactly. But if I can just ask the question, what jobs are we taking of yours? Which jobs? So you keep saying we're taking the jobs. Which jobs are we taking?
Do you know?
Is it the ones that you don't want to work in the mills? Is it those jobs?
The factory jobs?
Is it,
the taxi drivers?
Is it the taxi
the
jobs?
takeaways?
Is it the takeaways?
The cleaners?
Yeah, exactly.
The healthcare sector? NHS?
Yeah. So now I want to know, which person in the NHS said you can't get a job there?
Because you're not brown or black.
They don't want to do those jobs.
Yeah, they don't want it. Yeah. So, and this is it. And it's far easier. And, I don't want to stereotype. Yeah. But for those people that are sat on the dole and job seekers, and the thing is, it doesn't matter what colour you are. Yeah, this doesn't apply to colour. This applies to work ethic. This applies to doing something about changing your own circumstances. Yeah. What are you doing to change your own circumstances?
Yeah.
Nothing. I can't get a job because of the immigrant. Let me tell you something right now. Whether you want to hear it, whether you don't, I ain't stopped you from getting any job. And in case it's twisted, you see the three of us sat here, we're just as British as you.
Yep. Born and bred. And we've worked hard to get to where we're at.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, nothing fell on my plate. I'll tell you something.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something.
Sorry, Armelius. I just want to finish that point that Zed has just made there, which is absolutely key. Nothing has been given to any of us easily. We haven't got anything over preferential treatment to anybody else. If anything...
We've had to work harder.
We've had to work harder to improve our circumstances. Because of the view of people like you.
Because you got to remember, the corporate world isn't a brown or a black world. The corporate world.
It's a money world.
It's a money world. And if you want to make yourself successful in the corporate world, all you got to do is work on yourself. Like my mum, for example, when we finished school education and stuff, my mum said to all of us, you lot, especially like, let's give it for me, for example, mum said to me, you're not signing on. Yeah. If you want to sign on, get out the house. Yeah. Yeah.
Get out there.
I'm not having a bum as a son.
Yeah.
I don't care what job you get, whether it's cleaning, whether it's working in a takeaway
or an
office, I don't care what the job is. You get out and you work.
Yeah.
I don't take no for an answer. Yeah. But don't expect any money from us unless it's something that you need, and don't be sitting in this house signing on.
And this is the sad thing. So this was pushed. We've always known ourselves that we have to get up off our houses, get out there and work and earn a living, right? Yeah. But the saddest thing is, as these riots were progressing, there was more that were planned throughout the week.
Yeah.
Right? And so one of them locally was planned for Wednesday, right? In several towns in the north, right? The smaller towns where you've got a bigger population of Asians and Muslims, right? At that point, I thought to myself...
No, that wasn't the reason why it was planned. Sorry to cut you off there. It was to target immigration centres.
Yeah, which are in these areas.
No, it was all over. It was all over the UK.
Yeah.
So it was immigration centres or immigration lawyers, anything like that. So it was anything to do with immigration, we're coming for you.
Yeah. So think about it. We've always learned that we have to get up and start working, earn a living, right? But then when it came that people are coming to a town near you on this Wednesday, it strikes fear inside you. Because you've got your own family to be looking after, you know, and your own self.
Yeah.
You don't want to be stepping foot out of the house to go and work because you're not only putting yourself at risk, never mind that, we can defend ourselves.
Yeah.
But our wives, our children, our mothers, our fathers, our nieces, nephews.
You hear the stories of the women being attacked, their headscarves being ripped off.
Yeah. So then you can't leave them, go to work, leave them to then fend for themselves if they need to get something from the shop or anything like that. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Zed, don't get it twisted. The first thing I did was call my mum and said, stay at home.
Do not go anywhere.
Do not go anywhere.
And have we ever had to do that before?
No.
Never. So this was a first because you don't know what to expect.
To say that, but when other things happened, like 9/11, for example, we were kids.
We were young.
Yeah. We were young. So it's not that we didn't get impacted from that.
But do you know what never happened? Do you know what never happened? People didn't come out bashing Muslims. Yeah. That was the difference. That did happen. The attack happened, but people didn't go Muslim bashing.
Yeah.
But that happened this time.
I mean, some individuals did. But
and here's another thing.
Nationally.
We had all these riots, which is a very negative thing. But let's put a bit of a spin on this and put a bit of a positive spin on this now. Right?
Okay. Is there one?
There is a positive spin on this.
There's light at the end of the tunnel?
Not only did you have this minority of this far right protesting that's going on and people burning buildings and destroying things in their path, you also had a good cohesion of local communities, whether they were Asian, black, white, they all banded together. Yeah. And one good example, it came up all on the news, you had places like Blackburn, where there was a good gathering of anti-far right protesters. It was majority young Asian Muslim people that gathered together. And the reason why they gathered together...
Andy Murray turned up, didn't he? Craig Murray, sorry, not Andy
Craig Murray. Yeah, Craig Murray.
Andy Murray, the frigging tennis player.
The tennis player. He's going back and back with a serve. So these guys all banded together for two reasons. To protect their families and the mosques, their religion, because the mosque is part of their religion, and also to protect the local community. Yeah. Two key things there. And they said they got together, and I think it was about a couple of hundred people turned up. And there was one person who was a leader there who spoke out on a megaphone, and the police were all involved. It was coordinated correctly. And he said, we are not here to fall to their level. We're not here to riot and protest. We're here to protect ourselves, our friends, our family, and our community. So don't go there with ballied up, ready to cause a problem. If they come to you, defend yourself. Otherwise, don't fall to that level.
Don't be the
and
aggressor.
it was very successful because there was a group of EDL and far-right protesters that turned up. They were gone within an hour or two.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They didn't even want to attempt to try and cause a ruckus.
And Zed, let me ask you a question, yeah? Why, big men, coming up, fighting for what they believe in, yeah? Why are they wearing ballies?
Well, yeah, why hide your identity?
Because they don't want to get caught by the police.
Because they don't want to get caught by the police. Because you're not there to do anything peacefully. You're there to
cause trouble.
So it was successful in Blackburn. And then what else happened? They were looking to cause trouble. Again, this message went round that we're going to have another protest in Accrington, small town of Accrington. And what had happened there is there was a coordinated anti-far right protest that was coordinated as part of a WhatsApp group, right? 1,000 people were in this group. And they put the information out as it's like an Accrington community service, right? And what it was there for was to protect the town and the people within the town, the friends and family. So what they did was they had people patrolling the streets and they were looking to see if there's any signs of this far-right protest, looking at the trains, because they were all coming from out of town. They weren't from within the town itself. They're coming from out of town and causing trouble in disappearing, right? So 1,000 people in this group, and they all banded together and they said, right, let's get together, go on a little march through the town to show the community that we stand together. And what happened? A couple of hundred people got together again. They were marching through the town in a peaceful way. They weren't, they weren't ballied up or nothing like that. They were absolutely showing their faces, showing their identity and coordinating with the police. Yeah. Right? Because there was a police presence in the town. Yeah. Everywhere it was locked off. They're walking through the town and this came up on the news.
I saw it.
Did you see it?
Yeah.
So they walked past the local
pub, yeah.
And there was a lady outside there and another gentleman outside there. And they were hugging.
She was hugging everyone.
All these far-right protesters, which again, majority Asian, Pakistani Muslims. And they all were hugging her as they were walking past. And it showed such a good sign of cohesion with this community. Yeah. And it was a perfect example to be set for the rest of the country. Yeah. That, look, we are gathering together in a peaceful way, not out to look for trouble, and to also show that we are as one. No matter if you're black, white, brown, doesn't matter your skin, your religion, Muslim, Christian, Jew, doesn't matter what you are. We're all in it together to protect ourselves and you from these far-right people. It was an absolute, and well done. I've got to give a round of applause to these people because it was a fantastic example set for the people from Accrington. Yeah. So the leaders of that group, I'm just going to give a shout out to leaders of the group. Well done. Keep up your efforts, and hopefully this is reverberated around the rest of the country. Yeah, definitely. But it was a peaceful way. There was no balaclavas, no dressed up in black.
Yeah, what are they hiding for? What are they hiding?
They weren't hiding from nothing. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's.
But what's the other side hiding for? Because they know, and here's another key point. Yeah, they know. Firstly, they don't want to get caught by the police, and they don't want to make it obvious. Secondly, they're clearly there to cause some trouble. Yeah. But the third thing is they've also got lives, other friends, employers. Yes. Exactly. So they don't want to ruin any of that, because that in a way should state, I think, the obvious, which is, do not think that the majority of people are in the same camp as these far right protesters, because they're not. No. They're not. No. The majority of people are not. However, it doesn't mean that people haven't got brave and decided to take that step forward where now they want to cause all these problems. Yeah. But racism, unfortunately, will always exist.
Yeah, on both sides.
Yeah,
let's just say.
Yeah. And do you know what the thing is? Like, if you think about
just to finish my point.
Oh, sorry, I thought you'd finish.
That a lot of people don't subscribe to the same thing, and as the same way as we wouldn't like to be grouped together. As terrorists, whenever something happens,
a Muslim goes and
there's only 1.2 billion Muslims on the earth. So as much as we wouldn't want to be banded together, we shouldn't at the same time band
all the far
English
right
people. English white people specifically together, because it's not the same, and they don't all subscribe to that same type of racist bigotry or type of mentality. Because they don't, and to say anything otherwise would be an injustice to ourselves.
Yeah, of course. And the whole thing about racism, where they were talking about the two-tier police system, and they were thinking that it's a racist system, the police force. So here's a good example that we can use, right? So when they had the Palestinian protest, where they were
the hate marches,
they were calling the hate marches. All the media were labeling it as a hate march.
One person in particular.
They were happening and occurring every weekend for months. Up to 1 million people attending these marches.
How many of them got violent?
Did you see civil unrest in any of these marches?
There might have been like the odd pocket.
Odd pockets here and there, but nothing like what you saw
on this scale.
On this
think
scale.
1 million people protesting.
Yeah.
And that's a hate march.
Yeah. And then how is this any different to, what happened as a hate march then for the Palestinian protest? It's a hate march, isn't it? It's a hate crime. And hate crime is now, sadly, on a huge rise.
Of course it is.
And, it's sad to say that, Islamophobia, which it's not really being brought up as an Islamophobic thing, but Islamophobia is a real problem.
Of course
in our communities.
Of course it is. And it's not helped by the past 15 years of the certain government that we've had. Yeah. They've not helped the immigration rhetoric. And they've not helped the Islamophobic rhetoric. If you look at the Daily Mail, like some of the articles that they published, where they mentioned Muslim, a Muslim person did this, a Muslim person did that, always mentioning the faith. Now think about Lucy Letby, murdered 8 babies. She got sentenced, I think, last year or this year.
Nobody said Christian.
No one said
nurse,
Christian or atheist or whatever sort of nurse, white, atheist, Christian, whatever her beliefs were. Murdered 8 babies and tried to murder 8 more. Caught. But where were the riots then? Where was Save Our Kids then? What about the white man who killed a black kid with a sword? And where was the Save Our Kids then? Where were the riots about the black kid being killed by a sword? But the perpetrator was white. I'm not trying to make this a race thing. But
it demonstrates and highlights.
It needs to be addressed.
It demonstrates the hypocrisy sometimes that we feel of people of colour. Because when it's a crime that's perpetrated by a brown person, it's either Pakistani, Muslim, or anything to do with their background. But if it's an English person, a Caucasian, a white person, nothing's mentioned.
They're not terrorists.
They're not a terrorist. They're mentally ill.
And let's just put the statement out there. Anyone who commits these crimes, these atrocities,
is a terrorist.
They're terrorists, but they're mentally unstable. They are not part of a religion at all. As Muslims, you can't do that. As Christians, you can't do that. As Jews, you can't do that.
Yeah, you can't.
These people are just lone, crazy, insane that act people. On their own.
But it's just that thing, though, isn't it? Of it's an atrocity has occurred, and it's a bad thing to happen. And what happened following that had nothing to do
with that.
I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to ask you a question right now. How many? And it's probably the same one that you asked.
Probably.
How many of these protesters that are ruining their own communities, throwing bins that are on fire into hotels, with innocent people inside them,
attempted murder,
and how many of these people could even name the 3 girls' names?
Exactly.
I don't think any of them could.
None of them. I don't think they could.
But do you know why? Because for them, it's not about that. That is just the reason that they are using to be able to fuel
their own agendas.
Exactly.
So let's talk about immigration. Because ultimately that's what it transitioned to. From the Save Our Kids,
which they were disappointed about.
From Save Our Kids to we want our country back. So if I was to ask you, when they say we want our country back, who's taken their country?
And I'm going to be honest with you, because there's two different things here. The first one is the people that will say that what we mean by our country back is get rid of everybody that's not white.
Okay.
Then you've got the other fallacy in front of that, which is, no. We're not saying that. What we're saying is anybody who's not contributing to this society they should not be here benefiting from the society.
Yeah.
Now, very cleverly put, because the majority of people, me included, would agree with that statement.
Yeah.
If somebody is not benefiting the society that they live in and they're not here legally, why should they be here?
Exactly, yeah. No, I agree with that.
Why should they be here?
I agree with that.
You know, unless there is some extenuating circumstance. For example, we have decided as a country to take in refugees, for example, from a war-torn country, and there's a certain amount of people that we're taking in, but then how do we integrate them into our society? That should be the next conversation after that. You know, but so on the surface, it makes it sound very plausible and reasonable. So the average Joe goes, oh, hold on a minute. Yeah, why am I paying all this tax so that, you know, Abdul Blogs from God knows where has come over here and he is now taken from our country. He's on the benefit system that I'm also on, and he's taken away from me, but he's not actually doing anything and he's not contributing. So why, blah, blah, blah. But listen, how are you contributing to your own country, number one?
Yeah.
How are you contributing? Do you think going out destroying your own society is contributing to your country?
Of course not, no. You're making it worse. You're costing them taxpayers even more money. Do you know what I mean?
Honestly,
but here's the thing. It's a key thing that you mentioned there, which I think none of the previous governments, well, the previous government, shall I say, they never addressed the fact that, okay, you've got immigrants coming into the country, right? Refugees, I get it. They've been from a war-torn country. It's difficult for them. They're looking for a safer, better life. And I'm all for that. But however, where's the policy where they actually looked into how they integrate them into society? Because that's never once been mentioned. Do you get what I mean? Yeah. They've brought them in and put them up, but never thought of a policy how to get them integrated and working and part of our society. Which, if they can do that, that should clear up all the problems then. Because then the far right people shouldn't have an issue with immigrants coming in, because that's what they're saying. Yeah. They're not racist.
Illegal immigration, asylum refugees, do they come in legal or illegal?
Some of them, so this is a problem.
There's both, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's both. So some are extradited to this country, legally, because there might be a deal with the government, or it could be various reasons, but that happens. But then you've got also people that are coming across on the boats, coming across in trucks, coming across, trying to cross the channel to get here, you know. So there's a mixture of both. However,
ultimately what they're seeking,
the majority is, I would say, the majority is illegal.
But what are they seeking?
A better life.
A better life.
No, asylum.
Asylum,
for a better life.
Yeah. They're seeking asylum. And you can't just come in through the proper channels and be like, I've come in as an asylum seeker. A lot of the time it comes in, you've come in through illegal because you've had to run away. You've had to run away.
It's not even that. It's because they only accept very few people legally through the asylum.
Through the asylum route. It has to be a proper reason. You've got to put in a case.
Yeah.
You've then got to get that listened to. Yeah. The decisions need to be made.
Yeah. So I do agree, by the way, just to put it out there, I do agree that the level of immigration is probably unsustainable.
It is 100%. I agree.
It's actually dropped.
So it is a key problem. And here's the other thing: how do you tackle this whole illegal immigration if they're coming in on the boats? Well, the key problem is it's the source. It's the people benefiting. You know, people are not just jumping on a boat for free and coming into the country. They are paying tens of thousands of pounds to get this opportunity to jump on a boat through these
traffickers,
these criminals, these traffickers, the human traffickers, to get onto a boat and into the country. And they need to tackle that issue from the source. I think. And if they can tackle that, then they will be more open to the idea of allowing more people in through the legal asylum route. But again, to go back to that thing of where, you know, how do you integrate them into society? If they can integrate them into the society afterwards, fantastic. Because we are only building, like they say, there's no space in the country. You know, we're only built on about 7% of the actual land mass of the UK.
Where I live, they're building a shed ton of houses on greenbelt land. So I'm sure that there's definitely space. But I think that there's probably a point, just taking it back a step, around, even if you think like, how do you house everybody? We've got people here now that are, British citizens that can't even afford to buy houses.
Yeah, which is why they're saying that, why are they apparently the immigrants get houses quicker than
their favourite,
the actual people that
and I don't know the stats on that to be able to comment.
It's false.
But what I would say is,
it's just propaganda.
Just to bring you back round, that if you are doing the acts that you're doing here in terms of going out, setting your own community on fire, like the reality is none of that is going to be contributing to the wellness or the benefit of the society overall, or the society in which you live. So what are you actually achieving except civil unrest, except causing division, except causing hatred, pain and hatred to other people? We've got more in common than we've got not.
I get what you're trying to say there.
Yeah, we've got more in common than we have.
Than we don't.
Then we've not. Then
not.
Then we don't.
Cheers, boys. But what I'm trying to say is that there's far less that separates us than there is that connects us.
Yeah.
Like we are literally neighbours.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
We're all in this together.
What are we doing?
In this together. Yeah.
Trying to get a country back. Apparently.
I know that Sandra next door, when she can smell that curry being cooked,
she loves it.
She loves it. She's knocking on.
When she gets that knock on the door,
exactly.
Curry for you, Sandra. Yeah. That's what she was waiting for.
This is what I mean.
But just to end it,
and can I just say this?
Go on.
I can promise all of you right here, right now, nobody on this side is trying to come and instill Sharon's law. Yeah, we're not trying. Like nobody's trying to do that. So this whole ethos of these people, it just crumbles, and what we need to focus on is not disunity. We need to focus on being united, living peacefully with each other, just as we have been doing. Like we need to be looking at how do we bridge the gap, how do we educate, how do we make sure that these problems are sorted by the government who should be sorting the problems. Yeah, it's not like you and me arguing is not going to resolve the issue.
No,
it's not going to resolve it. So what we need to do is we need to focus that energy into directing it towards the people that can actually make a difference. Yeah. Now we've all landslidedly,
it won't work.
Landslidedly, Labour has now come into power. So we have to focus on putting our attention that way to get our local MPs and to go and make statements on our behalf.
All the key figures.
All the key in front of all the key figures with the key people in the room to be able to then make a difference. Yeah. But all this shit, you're ruining a neighbourhood, pal.
Yeah, you are.
You're ruining relationships that have been built over 30, 40, 50 years. Yeah. Even longer.
We have all been living in peace and harmony all this time. And on that point, I've got to say there has been an unwavering support from our friends and people who are not of the same minority in our community. So we've had so much support from everybody because, not everyone. It's a minority that have this rhetoric of far-right terrorism and racism. But the majority of the people in our communities are all together. We're in it together. Even in our workplaces, they're giving us support on how to be able to handle these things. Yeah. And for that, I applaud everyone for being, part of it together. We're all in it together. Oh, Amelia, you look a bit fed up. What?
I'm not in this together. I want Sharon's law.
Sharon's law stayed.
But talking about Sharon's law, you know that Sharon's law is only applicable to Muslims. Yeah. So if you weren't even Muslim, Sharon's law is not even applicable to you. Yeah. So debunked.
Fact check. Yeah. So
but you know what? Amelia, you open this, and me and Zeb would like to give you the last word.
We all bleed the same colour. Our skin may be different, but we all speak the same language at UK, and that's English. Unless you're of a older generation, you don't speak any English at all.
The Queen's English. The Queen's English.
However, race has absolutely nothing, and I mean nothing, to do with what happened to those 3 little girls on that day. Religion has absolutely nothing to do with what happened to those 3 little girls that day. What happened that day was a boy, not a man, because he was under 18. So we have to go by the law. A boy committed an act of terror. What the rationale, reasoning behind that, we have absolutely no idea. We can sit here, we can guess, but we can't change what happened. And the last thing that the country needed was fascism, racism, and Islamophobic content, which took everything away from those three little angels.
Right.
And for those of you who participated in this, I hope you have an ounce of guilt for taking that away from them, because their memory will forever now be tarnished by your actions, your riots. You've taken it away from them and you made it all about yourselves. So, well done.